Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Restoring Hope with Crosswinds Counseling. I'm your host, Curtis Smith. It is hard to believe we are into December and the Christmas season. It is here. We are thankful for you spending some of your Thursday evening with us. We're also incredibly thankful to our community partners that make this possible. Tesco, Shepherd Community Center, and Prime 47 downtown. Thank you to all of them. And thank you to the support and partnership of WHMB TV 40. We could not be here each Thursday night at 9:30 without them as well. Tonight we have another important guest from the local political scene joining us. Noblesville Mayor Jensen is here tonight. Mayor, thank you for being with us.
Merry Christmas. Thanks for being here.
I know. Can you believe it's December?
Hard to believe. I can believe because my kids remind me every day. So yes.
They're excited, right?
They are excited. What's there not to be excited about?
I was going to save this for last, but you have four kids, 10 and under.
Yes.
What is the Christmas season like in your house?
Mass chaos. But that's the everyday for us.
That has nothing to do with Christmas.
No, it just adds a little cold weather and some stockings. So no, we love the Christmas season. It's great to be able to hold the threat of Santa Claus over their head at times. You probably remember those days.
I do.
But it's a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your term as mayor here. You were elected in November of 19, so you started January of 2020. I don't know if you remember this, but the world kind of changed in 2020.
Remember it well.
What was that like? Seriously, you're probably, 2 months into office when
the world
just goes crazy on us.
Yeah, we were excited to take office. It's my hometown. To be mayor of your hometown, such a small percentage of life gets to ever do that.
Yeah.
So an incredible opportunity. We had bold vision, a great plans for the future, and then in March of 2020, it kind of came to a screeching halt, and it really helped kind of refocus our purpose as to why we were here. We were still able to continue on with our big plans of infrastructure development, enhancing our downtown, for example, focusing on workforce, but we had to add another huge component to that, and that was dealing with COVID-19.
So you did that proactively, or as it's happening. Now it can't completely look back, but we're deep into the pandemic, and you can assess these last 18 months or so. How has it gone in Noblesville? How have you guys navigated all those tricky waters in the midst of a pandemic?
Yeah, so first and foremost, we focused heavily on the businesses in our community. Our downtown and our city is built on the back of a lot of small businesses, as are many communities across the state of Indiana. So we jumped into action to give out some small business grants to make sure we can keep their doors open. We knew those small businesses are keeping food on the table for people, rent paid for people, mortgages paid. So we were able to jump in before the federal government did to help keep their doors open, and we're really proud of the work that we've done there. And then we shifted really to the general population and trying to understand what our residents needed. And we discovered quickly that there was a major mental health epidemic coming alongside the pandemic that we were all dealing with. So we had to quickly change our focus to that area.
Tell me about that focus. I know that you have really invested your time and energy into maybe trying to get rid of the stigma, help people. What are you doing actively to address the mental health concerns?
Sure, and you hear a lot of the campaigns going on about kicking the stigma and whatnot, which I think is incredibly important. I also think it's important that we put action behind those words as well. We launched a program early on in March of 2020, called Noble Act, which is a proactive paramedicine program. What that is we knew that if we could come alongside those in our community, those that are dealing with anxiety, depression, loneliness, substance abuse, homelessness, any number of those issues, if we can come alongside them early in that process to help link them directly to services that we can get to them before they get into our criminal justice system, for example. We can help get them the services they need to get them back into our community as a thriving member of our community. That not only has a direct impact on the culture of our city, but it has a direct impact on the budgetary and economics of our city as well. We have a $92 million annual operating budget. 47.8% of that goes towards police and fire.
Wow.
So we knew if we can invest ahead of time, we can actually reduce the number of 911 calls in our community. Furthermore, the second week of April in 2020, what really struck me is that we had more individuals commit suicide in the city of Noblesville than had died of COVID-19.
Wow.
And that told me what I was already expecting, that we had some real mental health challenges in our community. So we launched a program called Mental Health Monday, where I go online onto Facebook live for a half an hour with a local therapist, Kristen Boyce, and talk about my feelings. I talk about everything from the struggles of raising kids to running a city to having a healthy marriage, to e-learning, to you name it. We deal with all of that and talk openly about it. So it's an exciting time.
Tell me about that. What kind of feedback have you gotten?
Yeah.
How has that gone over with your residents?
I was a little apprehensive at first. You know, here I am, a white male Republican in Hamilton County, going to go on Facebook and talk about my feelings. That's a little different, right?
It's not what we do.
It's not what we do.
Right.
But I also realized that maybe it is what we're supposed to be doing. And maybe I felt like if I could, as a leader of a community, share my thoughts openly and share my feelings, that it might help bring some comfort to those that I knew were struggling. And I had a ton of feedback from folks, you know, my age as millennials, all the way up to baby boomers, especially baby boomers, who really weren't conditioned as a generation to talk about their feelings. But I had people whisper to me in the grocery store that, hey, I watched your show last Monday, and I felt a little like that was confessing to me a little bit. But I was really glad that we were reaching into them in the comfort of their home and giving them the resources they need to talk about it.
In all seriousness, these issues that will lead to suicide and lead to depression and lead to severe anxiety and stress, they are so often hidden. Yeah. They're so often not known to all those around us, even those close to us. To get it out in the open just seems like a critical step. We have got to start talking about mental health more and more. So I think this effort is tremendous.
Well, I applaud, it's not only local leaders, but, we've seen like the Indianapolis Colts step forward with great campaigns, getting well-known people talking about these and making it known that, hey, you know what, it's okay to not be okay. And it's not just me. It's my local elected officials. It's local sports authorities. It's folks like that are being open and talking about that. And I think it gives folks a sense of calm and lets them know that it's going to be okay.
Is this a long-term plan? You think Mental Health Monday is here to stay?
So yeah, it's twice a month now, and I don't see an end in sight. Again, and I'm committed to sticking with it. And we have folks that chime in every other week with questions live on Facebook. We're going to invite some guests going forward. The next couple of weeks, we're going to address veteran mental health, because we know that a lot of our veterans have unique challenges as well. So there's always new topics coming up. It's something that I don't foresee going away. In fact, I think it's going to just get stronger and be more prevalent in our community, and we want to be there to talk about it and also put action behind it and get resources to those folks.
One of those other things, quickly, Chris, is the holiday season. Yeah. The holidays can be so joyful and so fun, but for some, they can be the addition of more anxiety, more stress. Are you seeing that in your population?
Yeah, and I think I would say not even just for some, for most, it adds a level of anxiety and stress. Again, you laughed about having 4 kids. You have 3. Right. You know what it's like.
Right.
And it's colder outside. It's darker outside. There's stress of purchasing gifts and financial stress at the end of the year. So it's a tough time, and it can be the highest of highs, but it can be the lowest of lows, and we're going to be there to give some folks some resources to get through it.
Chris, thank you so much
for
all that you're doing. Noblesville Mayor Chris Jensen. We'll be right back.
Worry, conflict, and fatigue don't have to rule your life. There are always challenges, and working with a counselor to navigate them may be the best decision for you. Crosswinds counselors are compassionate, qualified, and dedicated, and they can give you the support you deserve. Whether navigating crisis or seeking personal growth, this is your pivotal moment. Contact us today. Years from now, you'll remember today as the day hope was reignited.
Shepherd works with both the first and second generation to break the cycle of poverty. It's a 2-gen approach to say we want to help the parents and the students to help them have the tools for them to break the cycle of poverty.
It's easy to think programs make a difference, but we know from 35 years of experience, relationships is effective.
In this world, we don't need more programs. We need to know that more people care for us.
Welcome back. Each week we introduce you to one of the counselors at Crosswinds Counseling. And tonight, Grant Anderson is back with us to discuss a topic that for many of us takes on a heightened importance during the holiday season: gratitude.
Hi, my name is Grant Anderson with Crosswinds Counseling. And today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about gratitudes and what they are. Kind of give you a definition. Gratitudes is our way of looking at the blessings or the things that we have in our life that we can be grateful for. And in the counseling world, we use that in a couple different ways. The first way is in just journaling out our gratitudes. So we kind of have people write out what's going on in their life that they can be grateful for, what's going on that they are happy with, and it's focusing on those good things going on. Another more involved way would be finding an impactful person or someone who's meant a lot to you in your life and writing them a letter of gratitude, of thankfulness, and then actually delivering it to that person. I mean, what that does is it actually, one, it blesses that person who's going to get a letter of thankfulness, but it also gives you that connectedness that's going to be impactful for you. The final way is just kind of a gratitude walk, and that's kind of getting outside and just using your 5 senses to really connect yourself to the world around you, using the leaves changing, the weather, the wind blowing, and just realizing what you have to be thankful for. It's really taking in that present moment and just focusing on the blessings and the good things going on. This is different than what we see in a growing trend right now in our society, and that's toxic positivity. With toxic positivity, we're seeing people really have an emotion or a feeling, and then someone's come alongside them and tell them, well, you shouldn't feel that. You should just focus on the good things. You shouldn't have that emotion. You should just look at your blessings. And the problem with that is it doesn't let the person truly feel what they're going through. It kind of shuts them down from that feeling that they can't process. So that's different than gratitudes, because gratitudes really focuses on the internal, what are we thankful for, what are we feeling blessed about, and it's different than someone coming alongside us and telling us you should just be thankful, which tends to have the counter aspect of what we're trying to get to there. So in summary, gratitudes is really that focusing on that positive blessings going on in our life and focusing on that, whereas toxic positivity is kind of shutting someone's feelings down and telling them they should be more positive going on. And we really want to focus more on a gratefulness in the gratitudes.
Tonight, as you hear Grant talking about the concept of having more gratitude in your life, hopefully that helped you. For some of you, it may have sparked the desire not just to be more grateful, but to use your skill to help others. Crosswinds Counseling may be the right place for you to use those abilities. The need for mental health services has never been higher, and in Crosswinds, we know that we need wonderful therapists and counselors to help provide those services to people in our community. If you're interested in applying, you can go to the website on your screen right now, crosswindscounseling.org/careers. There are positions for people who aren't counselors and therapists as well. It takes all sorts of people to make an organization as robust as Crosswinds run smoothly. And if you think it could be the right place for you, I encourage you to check that website out, crosswindscounseling.org/careers. We'll be right back.
In the heart of downtown Indy, at the corner of Pennsylvania and Maryland Streets, it's Prime 47, the city's only independent, locally owned and operated steakhouse, offering gourmet dishes, the highest quality steaks, fresh seafood, and an extensive wine list. Prime 47 specializes in large parties and events. So, whether it's dinner for 2 or 200, it's prime time you visit Prime 47, Indy's Steakhouse, for the finest in dining.
Welcome back to Restoring Hope with Crosswinds Counseling. I'm Curtis Smith. As we continue tonight, it's a pleasure to welcome in our next guest, Jenny Leshney. Jenny is the Director of Engineering for Christopher B. Burke Engineering here in Indianapolis. Jenny, thank you for joining us.
Certainly.
For those that don't know Christopher B. Burke very well, tell us a little bit about your organization. What do you guys do?
Sure. We are a civil engineering firm. We focus on water resources, a lot of dams and levees, stream restoration, environmental work, those types of things.
With 4 offices in Indiana, so you guys
Yes.
have done a lot of work across the Hoosier State.
We have. Our main office is in Indianapolis, but also South Bend, Crown Point, and Columbus.
Okay, so we're here on Restoring Hope. We're talking about mental health issues generally, and you work at an engineering firm. Where's the connection? Why are you here? Why does this matter to Christopher B. Burke?
So we have a lot of clients. I mean, we're in the customer service business, and we have a lot of clients that we deal with on a regular basis. Some are more challenging than others, and we have a large volume of work and several engineers. And in the course of our work, it can be a high-stress environment. And so we really pride ourselves on wellness for our employees. We had a very good wellness program. We have a bike to work program. We actually have a canoe to work event, and we do some other interesting things. But in light of COVID, we were seeing a disconnect with our staff and wanting to help and support people with their mental health as well. Keeping people and their families healthy and helping them cope with whatever issues might arise during the day. And it keeps them, more active and healthy and engaged in their work when they're happy and healthy and engaged at home.
Tell me more about how the pandemic impacted your work. It had such a diverse impact on different organizations, different segments of the population. Did people start working remotely? Was it a mix? What was that like in and around your offices as the pandemic really settled in?
Well, we all worked remotely, and it happened pretty quickly. We were able to get everything set up, and probably within a week, everybody was able to work from home remotely, which made us very efficient first because people weren't having a commute, and they were getting down and ready to work and that type of thing. But then as time went on, you need to have some collaboration and some in person and some FaceTime, and so we saw people sort of falling off engagement with staff, and it was really important to keep people engaged.
And how did you do that? How did you go about doing that? Because the pandemic hasn't let up yet, and we're some 18 months into it.
Right. So a lot of Teams, videos, and Zoom, and GoToMeeting, whatever platform we could get on. But we also went to some weekly huddles with our teams, and some little fun questions of the day, and keeping different people leading those meetings, and just trying to keep engagement and doing something a little bit different each week, just to kind of break up the monotony of being at home. I was going stir crazy. I was in my home all the time, which I have some property I can walk around on, but a lot of people, might be in their apartment and, not be able to get out or engage with other people. So
one of the other things I know that Christopher B. Burke has done is you've become a corporate counseling partner of Crosswinds Counseling.
We have.
Tell me what that has meant to your team, your staff there in the office.
I think it's important for people to realize that there's no shame or stigma in admitting that you need help, and that you need mental help, and that you need to take care of your personal well-being. And I think what's been great about it for our staff is that people can take ownership of their own well-being, and they don't have to feel intimidated by that, and the company supports that and allows people to move forward in dealing with any challenging issues, whether it be your children or your spouse or your family or your mother-in-law lives with you. All of those types of things people have challenges with.
And I have this picture in my head of engineers.
Yes.
Maybe this is a bad stereotype, but of being more introverted, quieter, more keep to yourself types of people, which can make mental health issues even more of a challenge. When you are prone to isolation anyway, it can be another stumbling block there. How has that been received, to have this service in your organization when you probably do have more of those introverted people who would probably not be comfortable talking about these things?
Well, the interesting thing about Crosswinds is it's completely confidential. So that engineer that might be intimidated or not socially out there can actually take advantage of these services without anybody knowing, and actually maintaining that type of privacy. And it doesn't, to me, I've not seen any adverse impact from that. I think people are actually more willing to be open and honest when they have that opportunity to do so.
Yeah, that is good. As an employer, I feel like one of the things that employers have to be cognizant of in this day and age, with recruiting and retention so important, is providing these kinds of benefits. It really is a benefit. Do you think that Christopher B. Burke looks at it that way, through that lens of this is an important tool that we can offer to our employees? Yes, but it also helps us as an employer to be more compassionate.
Sure. there are a lot of firms competing for very limited talent.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that I think sets us apart is our culture. And that's a culture of wellness and taking care of our employees. And I really believe that offering these services does set us apart. There are not a lot of engineering firms that do that. And so that, I mean, we've been able to add to our staff, and I think one of the things is, you know, the culture and the opportunity to take care of your wellness as well as your professional life.
That is wonderful. Jenny, thank you so much for
Sure.
taking a few minutes to be with us tonight. We really
Absolutely.
appreciate your time. In our Beacon of Hope segment tonight, Gordon Haynes is going to take us through a story you may not think about much during the Christmas season, David and Goliath.
Hi, my name is Gordon. I'm a member of the Crosswinds executive team and like to bring you a story of hope. Tonight my story is one that's very familiar. It's the story of David and Goliath from the Bible. David was a young boy, probably 10 to 12 years of age. He's the youngest of 12 brothers. He spent most of his time as a shepherd boy out in the fields tending flocks. The Philistine army had gathered to attack Israel, and they had a champion. His name was Goliath. He was 9 feet tall. He was a giant, and everyone was afraid of him. And for 40 days, he came to the front of the battle lines and challenged the army of Israel to fight him. Neither King Saul nor any of his men would come out to fight Goliath. David was sent to the front lines by his father Jesse to find out what was going on, and he heard Goliath mocking not only the Israelite army, but also mocking his God. And David went to King Saul and said, "I'll fight him." Well, the king obviously thought that was ridiculous, sending a little boy out on the battlefield. But with God's help, David convinced him to send him out there to fight. He didn't have any armor. He had no weapons other than a sling and 5 stones. He went out on the battlefield, and as we all know the story, he felled the giant with 1 stone and then killed him with his own sword. The Philistine army left. They were terrified the fact that a little boy had beaten their giant, and they knew that they weren't going to win this battle. You know, what can we learn from this story as individuals, and what kind of hope does that bring us? Well, one, we should know that inaction doesn't solve any of our problems. The way we should choose to do things is choose to take action. If we're struggling with something, then take action to overcome that struggle. 2, the size of the challenge shouldn't affect us. The size of the challenge doesn't determine what we're capable of. The size of the challenge is just the size of the challenge. We determine what we're capable of. And we are capable of way more than we think we are most times. Thirdly, I'm going to encourage all of us, use your resources. If you need help, get help. If you need tools, get tools. We can overcome anything. And fourth, don't ever underestimate the value of hope. And if you need a place to find hope, I'm going to give you a Bible verse that brings hope to me. It's from the book of Jeremiah, chapter 29, verse 11. I'm going to paraphrase it, but it basically says, "The Lord has plans for you. The Lord plans to prosper you. The Lord plans to give you a future, and the Lord plans to give you hope." And that's where you can draw a lot of hope from. So believe in yourself. Don't be daunted by the size of the challenge, and find hope where God gives it to us. Thank you. Have a great evening.
A good reminder from Gordon tonight. With that, our time is up this evening. Thanks again to Prime 47 Downtown, Shepherd Community Center, and Tesco, our wonderful partners. And thank you for joining us this evening. We'll be back right here next week, 9:30 on WHMB TV 40. In the meantime, you can follow Crosswinds Counseling on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn for more. Have a wonderful and safe week. We'll see you next Thursday night. Be blessed.